Hey, it's Mike Henry. I'm here with my good friend John Viener.
Hi.
All right. He's a little shy. Very handsome, but kind of shy. So we met on Family Guy back before it came back. I think around 2004. Is that right? Would you do karaoke with Seth, and that's how you met him? And then
Maybe
he
we
brought you on as a writer?
Did we do karaoke before I started on the show? It's possible too.
Yeah, I think. But I think that's how you kind of got into Family Guy.
Yes,
how
yes,
you came
definitely.
into the circle.
Alec and Wellesley had worked with Seth on this other show when Family Guy was down, and so I got to know Seth. And then we started
Okay.
going to karaoke, and then when Family Guy came back, I was mostly acting. I don't know if I can call it acting, trying to act. But yes, I wound up submitting some of my writing stuff, and Seth liked it enough to bring me on board.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, Alex Sullivan, Wellesley Wild, and you are longtime friends.
Yes.
Are you childhood friends or
I went to
college or?
I went to high school with Alec,
Okay.
and then he went to college with Wellesley. So then I met Wellesley after
Got it.
college.
All right. So, yeah, Alex Sullivan's running Family Guy now, and Wellesley Wild was a writer for a long time on Family Guy. I don't know what he's doing now.
We should have him on the show.
Let's have him on. Let's have him on. So, what's your go-to karaoke? If we were going to do karaoke right now, what would you?
I think
It would depend on if you were trying to woo someone into the back of your van or.
it's I don't. It's not really a van. It's a mom-mobile. But I would say that Sundown is probably a place that I go to. There are very
Okay.
few songs for a baritone person who
Yeah.
I can get up just into certain registers.
Can you give us a little Sundown?
Sundown, you better take care if I find you been creeping round my back stair.
Yep.
I like to go lower than the song. See, I like to,
That's good.
and I hope that
You could
resonance
you
works.
could pork me in your van. I'm just kidding. I'm
They're
not
windows,
homosexual.
guys. They're windows. You could see in.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. No. I mean, they're frosted.
Okay. Well, can you see through the frost?
If the person inside scratches at it, then
Okay.
then
Like
little
in
openings,
desperation
yes,
and a cry for help.
right. Then you can kind of.
Okay. All right.
This is how I wanted to start this.
Yeah, this is going great. Do you like Hollywood? Do you like the business?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love being gate kept.
Okay.
I love other people telling me what I can do.
I like that.
That's why we all went into this.
That's right.
But
That's why we're sitting here in my office
Yes.
doing this because, we're just doing it to fuck off. You have to do your own thing. You've always done your own thing. You've made a bunch of short films along the way. You
did.
You do your thing. What?
Well, yeah, I had with some other people, but I had a couple of shorts in Sundance over in different years, and I wound up doing a feature sort of mockumentary, which was my first thing that I did with this DP director Brett Stern in New York, and that was sort of what the first big thing where I learned how to edit because I wanted to help edit the film. Like I wanted to have my own
Yeah.
choices of what the shots were, so I used Final Cut Pro or whatever it was, and sort of taught myself how to do that stuff. But yeah, that was a feature.
Okay. What's it called?
Road to Park City.
All right.
Alec found it online, and I guess someone posted it recently, and it has, well, as of today, I think it's up to 49 views.
Oh, good.
Yes,
It's gonna be
yes.
50 after this.
But we did, yes, thank you. But we shot it, over 20 years ago, and it was this about a young. It was a mockumentary about a PA trying to win Sundance because he basically had been on set for a couple weeks, so that's all you need to do, and you can make a film and you become successful.
Right.
So the whole premise of the film was getting into Sundance. So when we submitted to Sundance, I don't think they were as pleased with the concept that you just have to be an idiot
Right.
who puts a baseball cap on and now you can be a director. So we went into Slam Dance, which was during Sundance.
Okay.
So technically I did go to Sundance with this film,
Oh, nice.
but was not invited to the parties.
Okay. It's like when Family Guy put out the DVD screener for the Emmys saying, "Dear Brentwood Jews, please let us into your little club." So it was akin to that where you
Yes.
just offend the gatekeepers.
Right. If you're not going to let us in anyway, let's just have some fun with this.
Right. But you were trying to get in. Might I suggest if you called it Pork City, you might have more than 49 views.
I don't know where to go with that, but yes.
We could change the title.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd have to add some scenes, but yes.
Okay. Some like farm scenes of,
Yeah, if that's, yeah,
Slaughterhouses.
it could be that kind
or
of-
just people fucking.
Yeah, it could be both. It could be having sex with pigs.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
Making bacon. Remember that? Remember that T-shirt? Just pigs fucking, and it just said making bacon.
I don't remember that.
Not the smartest people wore that.
I like a fun T-shirt.
Do you?
I do.
All right, cool. So you're working on Family Guy still, right?
Yes.
You
I'm
consult as a writer of a number of days per season. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes. I'm consulting on Family Guy, and it's really fun. I mean, it's amazing that it continues, and the characters are just, I mean, you've been doing it longer than I have, but it's fun when you've been gone for a while and you come back and it's just the characters you're so familiar with that you just pitch in their voices immediately. Not all of the voices, but the ones that you're
Right.
good at. But yes, no, but it just like they're just really solid characters, and it's really fun to be back and do the stuff.
Yeah. And so you do voices as well. You're in most of the episodes, right? Are you in every episode or?
I'm in not every episode, but I've been fortunate enough to be the announcer for a lot of things. We now return to. Thank you.
There you go. This is the "We Now Return To" guy. Right
And
here.
and
John
often
Viener.
as Mike has been witnessed when we've gone to Comic-Cons and stuff, people are like, "Oh my God, I love all your characters to Mike," and then they turn to me and they go, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm the announcer," and they go, "Oh, that's nice."
Oh, come on.
No.
You're too self-deprecating.
No, but I'm just saying it's like they want to. They're like, "Oh, are you the news guy?" I'm like, "No, that's Seth. He does Tom Tucker." "Oh, are you the?" No. I'm
Right.
invisible, or I'm man two on the street going, "Mr. Griffin."
Yeah, that's good too.
Yeah,
I like
usually
that.
FBI guy, police,
Right? Or a judge.
judge.
Or, yeah. All right. I like it. Are you cooking up anything else on the side? Do you have like a movie you want to make, or a show that you're pitching, or like what else? And actually, what else are you working on right now? Professionally.
Well, thank you. I with Chad Ginden, who worked on the Cleveland show with you, and he is the
Cleveland show. Representing.
Yes.
Representing. That was a fun thing. So yeah, when back in the day, whenever let's just say a woman with a big ass would walk by, I would go and elicit a laugh from here. And I remember back then I got so in the rhythm of doing that I would do it like with my daughter in the car seat in the back, and I would drive by either a really fine looking woman or a woman with a big butt, and I would go and my daughter would go So that became our thing for a while.
You got her into the big butts. Well, Chad has gone on to do other things, and there's a new animated project that is called Grimsburg that I've been working on. That's on
Nice.
Fox.
Yes.
So
Yep. All right.
it's been a lot of fun, and John Hamm is the lead voice, and he's an EP on it. So
Okay.
it's been
Executive producer.
executive producer. Sorry.
Okay.
Just I don't want to waste time.
Who has time to say words?
Yes. Back in the stand-up days, because that's we all started out. You started out doing a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I did stand up.
Yeah.
Not as much as you. When's the last time you did stand up?
I don't know. Technically, I would say real stand-up was real tomato ketchup. Real stand-up was.
That was a vacation reference. Real tomato ketchup, Eddie.
We enjoy ourselves Chevy Chase movies.
Yep. I got a Fletch poster that you may be able to see the corner of there in the corner of the screen, and you may not be able to see it, but I have it. Remember when Chevy came in to Family Guy and we all got his autograph?
I do.
And you played Chevy Chase in a bio show on TV. What
did.
was that? What was that show? When was that?
That was in 2002. Maybe it aired in 2003. I think it shot it in December 2002. But it was about SNL. It was the Gilda Radner story. It was a biopic for ABC television, and I got to play Chevy in the SNL years. And,
Nice.
That was very fun. And David Goodman at the time was like, "Well, I'm gonna." You have to go tell him that you played him in this movie. And I said, "No, I don't. I'm very familiar with Don't Meet Your Heroes."
Right.
But
David Goodman, who was running Family Guy at the
David,
time,
yes.
has gone on to be the president of the Writers Guild and the chief negotiator and all that stuff.
Yes.
Was running Family Guy, and so he told you to go and tell Chevy.
He told me that he's like, if you don't tell him, I'm going to tell him. So at that time, I still had fear of David. So I was like, okay, all right. So I had a poster and I brought it over, and then I was like, hey, I while he was signing, what's your name? I'm John. I was like, I actually played you in this movie of the week with Gilda Radner, and he goes, yeah, I never saw it. Who's next?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you
so
caught
he
him on a
didn't-
good day.
Didn't look over at me. Didn't.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I was like, this is why you don't. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I think he's supposed to turn and go like, this guy, come on.
Right.
You
Give
know,
you
and
something.
Yeah, give me something.
He's giving you something on the screen. You're his fan. You want a little, just a little something.
I sort of apropos of that, of just like wanting to get any kind of just mild, affection from a fellow person that you admire. We did a table read once when Sam Elliott, back before the end times, and so I was sitting next to Sam Elliott, and he's now playing Mayor West on Family Guy. He's the new mayor of Quahog.
Mayor West, yeah.
Yes, and so I played his mustache at the table.
Oh, right.
And so he's doing this whole thing, and so I'm having like, that's right, boss. Like every time he would speak, I'd try desperately to go lower, which is hard, but I would just try to be as much like he talks as he talks.
So that's what Sam Elliott's mustache would sound like. You got that right.
So he, at the end of the whole thing, he was just like, you're a mighty funny fella, and put his hand on my shoulder. And I was like, if anyone had done that to me 30 years ago, I would be...
You'd be a star.
All I thought is that he goes, I am your father, and I approve of everything you've done. That's
Nice.
what I heard.
All right. And no issues. No issues here.
Yeah. No, I'm fine.
Nothing to still be figured out here.
No.
No.
Going gray and still not figuring it out. But,
That's all right. I'm bald. I just figured it out.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I feel good now. Hey, let's watch this.
I don't understand this. You didn't take money out of the checking account, did you? You did, didn't you? Andy, I want you to look me in the face and tell me you haven't been gambling with that money.
So what if I have?
Damn it, Andy, you promised.
I ain't promised you anything.
Oh, how could you? I want you out of this house.
Why are you being such a bitch?
You low down dirty.
I love making stuff.
I like making stuff too. I think it changes when you do it so much that, like, I think it gets a little scary. As Tom Devaney, a writer on Family Guy, has said many times, like, when people will like write a tweet or they'll put up a post on Instagram, he'll just say, you got the job, why are you still doing this other,
That's funny.
And so sometimes the things that you do are, in your mind, there is a pyramid of let's say filmmaking at the top, or writing your own television at the top.
Mm-hmm. So
it's strange when you start doing one thing that you would sort of migrate back towards the other things you started with. But
yeah,
I just think I'm having trouble sort of figuring out what it is that I would want to do, because you want the freedom to make the thing you want to make, but you also have the skill set and hopefully the access to put it out there in a new way, or in a larger way.
Yeah.
And I just, I find it's like the things you started out wanting to make, your life is now in a different place. So I can't make that. It's like when I was 22, I was doing jokes about having a roommate. When you go back to stand up after you have your own place and
right,
you're possibly married or something, you're not doing this same jokes necessarily. So you have to completely erase the past,
right,
and start where you're at. So with me, it's like the pet project of, whatever I wanted to do 10, 15 years ago, I kind of have to, for myself, let that go and then decide what is it that right now I'd want to make.
Yeah. And with social media, I think there are two extreme views. One is throw it all out there and just sort of take your dump of creativity and put it out into the world. Another one is don't do that. Don't waste your jokes. Don't waste your whatever or your time. Just put it all into your project that's going to still be here in 100 years on celluloid somewhere or digital somewhere. So
yeah, no, it's a tough thing to say to decide. I do think that the projects that you hold on to never get made. So in a way, it's better just. I mean, for example, and I never did this, but the reason I stopped doing stand up for the most part was because I got to work on Family Guy. So the same time I got on Family Guy, I performed at New Faces in Montreal, and I had worked at stand up for. At that point, I had been doing it maybe 8 years or something, and I finally got my like sort of big break.
Yeah.
And at that point, I got hired at Family Guy, and I was like, any joke that came in my head, I was like, let's get it into Family Guy, because I'm not going to keep and say, oh, this is for my stand-up act.
Right.
To me, that didn't have any value, and I think I was right. But at the same time, I dropped doing stand-up. So
Right.
hypothetically, maybe I should have been doing both. But I think it's very hard sometimes to shift. Decide this goes in this box of comedy and this goes over here.
Right. So Tom Devaney would say, you got the job. Don't,
Yeah.
why are you wasting your time doing stand-up? But at the same time, you don't get all your jokes in, even the ones you think are funny. They don't necessarily
Yes.
fit, or the people
Very
in
true.
charge don't necessarily want to put it in for some reason. So then that idea just dies. And so, yeah, I mean, do you ever consider getting back up and doing stand-up for any reason?
I don't really think that's where I'm at. People, it's funny. I've gotten calls. People like, so do you want to come on? They just assume because you did stand up at some point that you have a ready to go 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And outside of like, the explosion of sort of internet people who become famous before they're actually good at stand up, like I really respect the craft. And when, I started at Stand Up New York working the door and lighting people and watching, 6 hours a night of stand up. And at the same time, getting to go on if anyone was left at the end of the show and they're still just drunk and don't want to stand up, I got to go on and do 5 minutes. And so there were a bunch of us who would wait till the end of the show, and everybody would get 5 minutes until there was nobody left in the room.
Right.
But that was what you were doing. That's why I was working the door.
That's what you have to do.
Yes, yeah. And
Yeah.
and you get to see what works and what doesn't work. And I think, and I hope I haven't completely lost it, but I think one of my best assets coming into Family Guy was that I had been around stand-up so much recently from when, I've been doing it so much right before I started that I could hear sentences the way they would be funnier sounding.
Sure.
Because you're just so used to hearing it in front of a crowd. You're like, oh, I think a crowd would respond to this
Right.
instead of this wording.
Right.
And
Which typically you want the last word to be the punchline. You want to just end,
Yes,
it's like build up and then boom and then cut, like you're out.
yeah, I mean, it really is about getting there as economically as you can and then putting the joke at the end. You're right.
Yeah. See, I know.
No, it's you're
I've been doing
professional.
this shit a while.
You don't get a lamp and a poster unless you're very good at
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. The Cleveland show. What a good time. You were on that.
That was
and,
great. I came in for a few years and
yeah. We had some very funny table reads, and if you go back and watch it right now on Hulu, it's funny.
yeah, there's tons of fun.
I mean, I'm always very critical of myself and my work, and so I was always stuck on the stuff that wasn't working. But now that it's so far removed, 10 years later, I love watching it. Like we'll pop on an episode, and there's some pretty hard laughs and stuff that I basically played a black guy who was playing a Middle Eastern woman. You wouldn't see that today. It was just a different situation, and you could say a different time, whatever. But, things have really changed in the last 10 years as far as comedy goes. And I've talked about this on some of these other conversations that I've been having here in the office, where it's like when you're in elementary school and you get the laughs, but you also get the detention. If you're imitating the teacher and ripping farts and whatever, people are going to think you're hilarious, but you're also going to pay the price. And so now that's working on this grand scale here in the entertainment business.
But ultimately, I think people, I can't argue this because I'm my age, and so I went through what I thought was funny when I was 20, 15, whatever, But I feel like whatever comedy's been the last 5 years, especially in stand-up, has turned into nods and smiles, and so what has replaced hard laughs is not giving people what they want. Like I'm all about the next evolution of laughing and like what's funny and clever, but There are just a lot of things that just taking things away without putting something new in is, puts you in a tough spot. Speaking of taking away and putting in something new, this is just an aside. It makes me realize like one of the hardest things about Family Guy was that, nothing is infinite necessarily, but you'd come up with comedy bits. And so we'd go in a room and you'd be like, we have to do a TV gag. And let's say you came up with a Florida gag for Good Times. But
yeah, my name is Florida. That's not the name of a person. That's the name of a state. I don't know, some shit.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, but you'd come up with like a funny bit about a TV show like Good Times, and then you'd be so excited, but then it was almost like that chip had been taken off the table. Like now Good Times, you can't do a joke. So it's interesting in terms of like the for me, I mean, I'm talking and I'm going in different directions, but I'm just saying that I almost felt like I needed to keep replenishing experiences so that I could write jokes about them, because you get a little claustrophobic in comedy when you've already dissected one area and now you can't go back to it, but you don't have a new area to go to.
Right.
So, with comedy right now, I mean, I'm enjoying watching, I think, a little resurgence of people pushing back and being funnier and like taking chances and poking fun at themselves and other people in a way that's not meant to hurt, but it's just to say, okay, we've gone through this thing for the last however many years of pretending that everybody's the same and that the world is fine, and it's not, and now can we talk about it again?
I've had plenty of pain in my life, and like everyone has had their struggles, and we're simply just trying to lighten the mood and have some laughs. And I don't know that jokes really make people's lives worse, or at least the jokes that I would say. I wouldn't say something, overtly mean and demeaning, trying to put one group up above another. But, that's just, it's just, there's been a big overreaction in my opinion. And, I think we'll get back to a sensibility where people can be funny and realize that it's also coming from a kind place.
Well, on a personal level, just the way I grew up is that, cruelty was a love language. So I just, when I had friends, I had a friend in college once who was like, you are so mean to me. And I realized it's because you like me. And it's like, well, yeah, because it's like but in the same way that if I'm making jokes about something, I'm essentially saying, I see you, I'm paying attention to you.
Right.
It's the person in the room that I don't pick on that should be worried.
Right.
Because I'm just like, I don't like you enough to get involved.
Yep. Like I saw this dude from high school recently I was in Virginia, and I could tell that I felt like he never really liked me. And when I saw him, I was like, hey man, what's up? He's like, how you doing? And then that was it. And so I was just like, that guy doesn't like me, and that's not my problem. But I know what you're saying. It's like, yes, by paying attention and engaging and making that joke, it's like teasing a girl you got a crush on.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know what? Why don't we watch a clip of Pork City, or is it Park City?
Right now it's Park City, but we may edit in some stuff.
All right, let's watch a clip.
I quit my job.
What?
Well, I'm
Are
gonna
you
need,
out of your fucking mind?
I'm gonna need all my time to make this film.
Make a film. What do you know about making a film?
How hard can it be? Everybody's making films these days.
Yes, but what do you know about making a film? How are you gonna make a film?
I'll learn.
If you make a film, you're gonna need actors. Then you're gonna have to put an ad in backstage, and then you're gonna have all these mental patients sending you headshots from the tri-state area. You're gonna need a DP, an AC, a gaffer, a grip, sound people, PAs, and a goddamn best boy.
I have friends.
Yeah, and do your friends have Panavision cameras and HMI lighting? I don't think so. Then you're gonna have to rent the equipment, and they're gonna want insurance, and insurance is money. We don't even have dental insurance.
I've saved money.
Oh, please, you couldn't even afford film stock, which means you're gonna have to shoot it on recans. You're gonna have to get investors. And you know what investors want? Investors want stars. So you're gonna have to go to every little shindig to get a little star attached, and then when she's attached, you're gonna have to go through SAG. And you know what? SAG is going to fuck you.
The Screen Actors Guild?
Yes! And then you're gonna wanna join the DGA. And that's great, because then when you're broke, at least you'll be able to see movies for free.
It doesn't sound that bad.
So when did you start being funny, or aware that you were funny, or get interested in acting or filmmaking? I'm assuming it was at a pretty young age.
Yeah, I think it's probably just trying to get noticed, and also the things that if I wanted to make it like a psychological in-depth attack on not attack, but like inspection of myself, I might say, like, I remember watching, Animal House on TV with my father and him laughing, and I'm like, oh, if he thinks this is funny, this must be funny. If he likes that, then that's something that's likable.
Right.
And I should figure out what people, and then you get to school and you're like, oh, I repeated lines from a movie that everyone laughed and they liked. So you repeated them. You're like, oh, that feels good that people like this. And then, you try to figure out what it is that you could do.
Yeah.
But then the other thing about being a kid is that you don't have the ability to care about people's feelings, or in the same way that they just
right.
The empathy of children is severely lacking.
Right.
So I wound up in 7th grade starting the National Enquirer, but for my grade school.
Right.
And it we did a whole thing of like worst dressed teachers and just like all these
right
these things that were insensitive
right.
to people, and I got pulled in. As you said earlier, it's like I got in trouble.
Right.
And it was like, why are you doing this? And I was like, well, I'm not trying to attack these people. It's like, they're just trying to come to work. And yes, they can't, they may not be able to buy multiple jackets and wear the same one every day. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Right.
I'm trying to have fun, because there's a best dressed list in People magazine. So why don't I do a worst dressed teacher? Like, I'm playing with these things.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, Alec and I went to the same prep school, and we got asked to do, not asked, we actually asked if we could do them for people, but like if people when you have assembly twice a week, I think, so everyone in the school had to be somewhere, and there'd be like these, if you want to join the blah 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 club, meet us at this.
Right.
So we would say, hey, can we do your announcement for you?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we would do the announcements, and sometimes we would record them on like tape cassette and do impressions of teachers, and and of course within 2 or 3 we were in the principal's office, and it was like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And so then at some point we had to then play all of our tapes for one of the faculty members before they could be played. We essentially had to go through a 7-second censor.
Right, go through standards.
We had to go through standard practices to see what jokes we could and couldn't do.
That's funny.
And so Alec and I had to sit there with these tapes we'd made that we thought were so funny, watching a teacher with a hand on a cheek just couldn't look more miserable listening to this, like, nonsense kids burping and all this stuff.
Right.
And we're just, we're pounding the floor with our feet going, we're so funny. And it was like,
that's awesome.
It was just ridiculous. But to us, the joy of like sharing whatever our comic premise was in front of 300 captive children was fun.
Yeah. So when I was in middle school, I guess, and actually grade school and then middle school, I would always imitate like Steve Martin's stand-up. Grandpa bought a rubber. And, that was avant-garde. It was hilarious at the time, and all my friends would laugh. And so I was like, yes, all right, I'm funny, but that's his thing. So, yes, what can I do? And so I was the MC of the talent show my senior year in high school, and completely took down a bunch of teachers, and actually didn't even get in trouble. But that was the first time I was on stage with the intention of being funny, and it went well. And so I kind of had the bug at that point myself. But yeah, it's interesting how you're just trying shit out just sort of instinctively. It's like what you want to do. I enjoyed doing this. I like talking to my friends who are into comedy, and I don't know where this goes, or people really dig it or not, but it's what I'm doing. And I want to make a movie. I want to make a movie for people over 50. So I think that's the target audience for just a very inappropriate, by today's standards, comedy.
So it would be, what would be an example in the past that you think is that?
It's just going and doing what you think is fucking funny and putting it out and not worrying about offending people. Like I don't really even remember the word offensive being a common thing in comedy, until 10 years ago or so. I maybe I'm just living under a rock, or was living under a rock, but you're doing what you think is funny, and you're not trying to hurt anybody. You just want to laugh. I don't know. And who is the gatekeeper? Why, who's the teacher now? Who's the principal now? Who is Who is the mayor of Hollywood that cancels everyone?
You can have one tweet that can destroy your career. So why would you tweet?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, and why would you create anything when just anything you do could take everything away from you, and the person who's trying to take it away from you actually just wants your job.
Totally.
So they want you out of the way so that they can move up one rung or possibly jump all the rungs to get to your thing. So,
Yep.
you know, it's an assistant saying that, you know, you were abusive to me, I'd like your job.
Right.
Hypothetically. Not all the time, but I'm just saying that
I get
if we're in a free society, you should be able to say stuff.
Right. It's a fearful society, and it's, you know, and I understand not wanting to lose everything that you've worked for.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you got to make decisions based on business, and you do it, and that's why I want to make my own art and get it out there. So I'm cooking up something that is going to be old school funny, and I want you to be involved, and
All right.
we'll talk more about that. Anything you want to say in closing, Johnny?
I'd like to thank the 51st and 52nd people who watched Road to Park City on YouTube. That was very kind of you.
Nice.
I mean, I know you didn't get through the whole thing,
Right.
but if you made it even to one ad, I didn't put it up, so I won't get that 0.001 cent. But
All right.
I appreciate that it's out there.
Road to Pork City. Watch it. John Viener, thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Late.